computer. Well, hello there. Carol Dockum here with beautifulfacesgoingplaces.com. And we are continuing our business trainings here on our platform. And our special guest today is Ruth Medlin. Her company is called Ruth K. Medlin Consulting, and she is a speaker, trainer, coach, workshop facilitator, an author, and a mentor. And so many topics in business. And today she's going to be sharing with us. Help me out here, Ruth. I'm drawing a blank.
Okay, yeah, keep your sunny side up.
Thank you. I knew it was sunny side up, and I'm thinking eggs and bacon, but.
Oh gosh, I'm hungry now.
I know, me too. Keep your sunny side up. And this topic is so relevant for today. And I don't know about you, but here in Ohio, it's a little bit of a rainy and cold and rainy day and gusty winds. And we need nothing more right now than some positivity and ways in which we can keep our sunny side up. So thank you so much, Ruth, for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thanks, Carol. It's my honor to be here with beautifulfacesgoingplaces.com. I love doing presentations for your group, and it always motivates me to hear what people have to say and how much information is being put out there by Beautiful Faces Going Places. So I really appreciate all the hard work that you're doing for your group. Not only that, but also putting it out there on social media as well. So kudos to you for doing that. So, and I'm hearing my cat throwing up in the background.
So I didn't hear anything.
Well, good, because it's not pretty over here on this.
Well, it is fun. I mean, seriously, I'm thinking about everyone who right now, we're sheltering in place. We've been working from home 6 to 8 weeks now, and all of us are dealing with, whether it's kids, pets, spouses, we're all dealing with the new normal and how to keep carrying on, right? So yeah. It's all good.
And as my dear aunt used to say, you just got to keep on keeping on, is what she used to say. She's from Kentucky, and she kind of had that Southern drawl about her, and she would just say, you know what? She always called me Ruth K. You know what, Ruth K? Just keep it. You got to just keep on keeping on is what you got to do. And so I think my go-to word this past couple of 3 weeks has been, giving people grace. And we should be giving people grace all of the time. But I really think with all of the, Zoom calls and the social media and, is it recording? What are we doing here? Back and forth. You get the time wrong. West Coast to East Coast, all that kind of stuff. It's like, we all just deserve to have a little grace and give a little grace, and above all, be kind, because we're all in the same boat, and the boat may be different sizes for different people, but we're all still, doing the best that we can do. So I wanted to do keeping your sunny side up. For a variety of reasons. Number one, I just believe that a positive attitude is so important in life and in business. And sometimes it is difficult to keep that sunny side up or keep that sunny disposition going. I know here in Ohio, in springtime, we have so many cloudy days, rainy days, windy days, and we have nice days too. I'm certainly not saying that, but it's kind of a mixed bag. And some days, if you've experienced gloom and clouds and rain for a couple of 3 days, it's harder to keep your sunny side up. So I thought, this is kind of the perfect season of the year to talk about that. And I want to share some lessons that I've learned about keeping your sunny side up. So I am going to, with your permission, open up my PowerPoint slideshow here. This always takes me a minute, Carol, so bear with me.
That's okay. And I love what you said about, that we're all in this storm actually together, and we're all in this storm together, but we're all probably in different types of boats. And I know I was talking about that with Teresa Vermillion yesterday, and you brought it up just now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, once again, we're in the storm together, but yet we're all in different types of boats. So, some of us might be on a yacht, wouldn't that be nice?
Oh.
Or a speedboat, or a slow boat, or a rowboat, or
right,
or hanging in, by with a little styrofoam. I'm not really sure, and just keeping afloat. But we're all weathering the storm together.
Yeah, I think of those. Do you remember kids will sometimes build boats, and they build them out of the materials that they have, cardboard and duct tape and whatnot, yes, just to see how long they'll float, how long they'll stay afloat. And I think to myself, those poor kids are doomed no matter what they do with cardboard. It's gonna disintegrate in water fairly rapidly. So I'm like, well, okay, so we've all got a different kind of boat that we're dealing with. And Carol, I'm looking at my screen, and it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So is there a way you can fix that for me?
Yes.
Thanks.
Let's see here.
Gosh, with these new, I think it's so great that Zoom has instituted some of these new rules and regulations to kind of protect people, but it's a bit of a stretch. I'm like, okay, now how do I do this? What do I do now?
Exactly. All right, you should have access now.
All right, well, let me see what's going to happen here. Yes, indeedy. Okay, I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to hit share. Yes. Oh boy. And then I'm going to hit, what am I going to hit next? I'm going to hit this. Yes. Okay, so here we go. So keeping your sunny side up, and 8 lessons that I've learned in my years as a entrepreneur and a speaker, coach, and trainer. And Carol, I think a lot of it has to do with perception. It really is a matter of perception. So here we go. We're off and running. And so do you remember this book? Charles Dickens wrote A Tale of Two Cities. And I remember reading this in high school. I think I was a sophomore in English class. And I remember thinking that it was probably one of the dumbest books that I'd ever read, because I think for a high schooler, speaking for myself, I think that it was kind of hard to understand or to interpret what the bigger meaning was of it. But the opening line of the book is, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And I think that as business owners, we could probably say that about our lives and about our businesses, because things kind of ebb and flow. Things kind of go up and down. And, sometimes in business, you're up, you're having a great month, you're having a great quarter, you're having a great year. And sometimes you're down and you don't see any way out of it. And so it can be the best of times, and it can be the worst of times. Sometimes we're all in 100%. We wake up, we're excited, we're raring to go. And sometimes we just want to pull the covers up over our heads, and we just want to pretend that we're not going to go to work that day because we're just tapped out. Maybe we're exhausted mentally, maybe we're worried about money. So it is the best of times, it is the worst of times. And sometimes we're making money and we're doing great, and sometimes we're laying out more money than we're making in. We're pulling in, and again, it is the best of times and it is the worst of times. So, I think that we all need to kind of keep those things in mind, because we are no different than anybody else. You kind of look around you in your tribe or your community, your friends, your entrepreneurial friends, other networking groups, and you kind of say, wow, they're on fire. I wonder what they're doing that I'm not doing. What are they doing right that I'm doing wrong? And it's not about right and wrong, good or bad. It is just, it's the time for you. And that's the biggest lesson for me to share with everybody is, look, we're all going to have great times and we're all going to have not so great times. And so, you know, to sustain yourself in business, I think is so important to just say, you know, I'm not having some great times right now, but I'm going to work my way back up. So go and reread A Tale of Two Cities. Actually, I started reading it the other day and I thought, this is really a pretty good book. So maybe I missed out when I was a high schooler. So what matters most? So I'm going to talk to you about my 8 lessons that I've learned. Do you remember Friends? That was one of my favorite programs. It was on Thursday nights, and I worked late on Thursdays, but I always remember that I taped it so that I could watch it later on. And one of my favorite characters was Joey Tribbiani. Whenever he was, you know, like trying to meet a new girl or trying to, you know, impress a girl, he would always say, "How you doing?" Right? His little New York accent. And I think that we need to ask ourselves that daily, like, how am I doing today? You know, kind of take your pulse of what your mental attitude is, what your physical attitude is, you know, how am I doing daily? And it's not good enough to say, oh, I did great yesterday, I don't have to do so good today. It's that, you know, you need to kind of get that vibe and that motion, that forward motion going, so that when you ask yourself every day, how are you doing, that you're honest and truthful enough to say, well, I'm a little bit down today because the weather, you know, the windy weather is just really getting my sinuses going today. Or I'm a little down today because I slept in, or I'm a little down today because my cat threw up in back of me. You got it. So keep asking yourself that. Keep self-assessing and making sure that you really are okay. And, you know, here's my pitch too. If you're not okay, it's okay to reach out and ask for some help. You know, I think during these times, the best of times, worst of times, it's acceptable to ask for some help. Maybe you just need to talk with a good friend. Maybe you need to, you know, share with somebody else. Maybe you need to, I would normally say go out and have coffee, but we're not doing that right now. But, you know, it's okay to reach out and ask for some help, and, you know, not be afraid to do that. So remember that. How you doing? That's my question that you need to ask yourself each and every single day. So, all right. So here we go with the tips and lessons that I've learned. Number 1, nobody wants to do business with and you can fill in the blank, but I know this, that people want to do business with people who are honest and happy and genuinely glad to do business with you, that they have a good product, that they have passion for the business that they do, that they always wake up on the right side of the bed, that they're always there to help you as a customer. So, you know, thinking about how do I want to show up today to my customers? Last week, Carol, I loved Angie Snowden's conversation about how to show up on Zoom calls. That was so beneficial, you know, and I try my very best to, you know, like, okay, I'm going to do hair and makeup today, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be on Zoom, but I'm not always cautious about like dressing. And when she said, you know, she sees a lot of people with a sweatshirt and hoodies. And here I was, Carol, I had on a sweatshirt and a hoodie.
I didn't even notice, Ruth. I did love Angie's, you know, her tips on, you know, dressing for business and how you show up. And we're all showing up online now on Zoom and, you know, all kinds of online meetings. And I was like, gosh, she's so right. But I didn't even notice that, Ruth.
Well, thank you for saying that. But right then I said to myself, okay, I'm never wearing a sweatshirt and a hoodie again on a Zoom call, because I mean, Angie didn't call me out, but it was like, boy, it was obvious to me. So anyway, you know, show up like you want to do business, whether you're showing up on a Zoom call or you're on a Facebook Live or whatever. or you're doing FaceTime, but show up ready to do business, and not with your hair pulled back in a pony and a ball cap shoved down on your head. Just show up like you want to do business, and that you have passion for your customers and the products that you sell. Number 2, begin each day with a grateful heart. I have that saying on my refrigerator, and I see it every morning when I open the refrigerator up to get my milk for my coffee. I always see that. And I do think that really does set the tone. If we wake up and we are truly grateful for another day on this earth, and that we're, grateful to have a business, and we're grateful to have, food in the refrigerator and a car we can drive. There's so many things to be grateful for. So I like to begin each day with a grateful heart, take a moment to think that through. And that for a lot of us, morning rituals really set the tone for the day. So I'm reading this book right now, and it's about this guy, and I think he's almost, like OCD. I think, he's very regimented in what he does. And so every morning he gets up and he puts on his running clothes and his running shoes, and he goes out the door and he runs for 2 miles, and then he comes back, and then he makes coffee for himself, and then he sits and he has breakfast with his coffee, and then only after all those things are done can he go and take a shower, and then only after that is done can he listen to his voicemail messages to find out what his work day is going to look like, because he's a tech repairman. And I'm kind of laughing at the book because I too have certain rituals that I do in the morning, and I just really hate to have them disrupted, or that they become out of order to me, like, okay, coffee first, then journaling, but if I have to do something like, have to be someplace earlier, and maybe I have to skip the journaling and go upstairs and get a shower, and get ready, I just feel a little bit off and a little bit discombobulated in my day because I didn't get to follow my morning routine. And I do believe that morning routines do set the tone and the pace for the rest of the day. And, what's that old phrase, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Well, I'm a farm girl at heart. And we always got up real early before the sun, especially in the summertime, to work before it got super duper hot. So I'm like, well, that's my morning routine, is like always get up early. And, I kind of like to beat the sun. I always think if I can rise before the sun, I've got my morning routine going. And then number 3, break it up and shake it up. You know what? Listen, it's great to have routines. When I lived in California, I had a routine 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And it was this: I would get up at 4:30 in the morning. I would have coffee. I would put on my swimsuit, and I would be out the door by 10 after 5 to get to my swim class that I taught at 5:30 in the morning at my local gym. And then I taught the class, and then I would shower, and then I would get in my car and I would go on to my regular place of employment, right? So that was my routine, and I did that for 8 years, okay? Wow. 8 years. That's a long time, right?
That's a routine.
That is a routine. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But when I moved back here to Ohio, I obviously didn't have a job to go to at 5:30 in the morning. And so I noticed that I got out of the early to rise routine, and I kind of just fell off the whole exercise bandwagon. And Teresa Vermillion and I were talking the other day, and she's such an encourager. I love her so much. She's such an encourager. And so she always asks, how are you doing on your weight loss program? And, she's not intrusive. She's just genuinely wants to be helpful, about that. So sometimes you have to break up routines, or routines get broken up for you. And I think it's okay to shake things up. Maybe you get up a half hour later. Maybe you, instead of running, maybe you go take a spin class at gym, or a power ride over with Meg Hilmer and her daughter over there in Loveland. They are doing some great things too in this whole pandemic thing. They're actually I believe they're renting out their bicycles to their members.
That's
Do you
awesome.
hear that? Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
You know, and they even delivered them. I mean, they put it in their own pockets to rent a truck and go deliver these bicycles for as long as, you know, we're sheltering in place. So, you know, try something new. Go talk with Meg and her daughter when we are loosening regulations, and maybe do some spin classes. Or, you know, I've always wanted to join a rowing crew. You know, I've always wanted to do that whole thing. I think that is so much fun. And I do that on, you know, gyms have rowers. Obviously, you're not in the water, but they have rowers that you can use. And I do that, but it's, you know, it's a collective sport. Like, you're all working in unison, you're all working in tandem. And so I think to myself, I'm sure they have that. I'm sure they do rowing in the Ohio River or the Little Miami or something. So I'm like, maybe I need to check something new out like that. Or practicing yoga. Now, I personally love yoga, but I'm not a practicing yogi. But I will tell you that, oh my gosh, Nikki Pappas, who works for Modo Yoga, I never say that right, Modo Yoga, something like that. She is such I've taken a couple of classes from her, and she's so good at that whole relaxation piece of it too. So, you know, break it up, shake it up, try something new. Whatever is going to make it workable and doable for you.
I love that. Your number 3, break it up and shake it up. Because I think it was 2 Sundays ago, I actually had a little bit of a meltdown. And I really just felt like I was living in Groundhog Day. Like, every day was the same. I'm waking up in the morning and I'm just repeating. And I just thought, oh my gosh. So I needed to break it up and shake it up and take a day to go and do things that I enjoy doing, like some gardening, or, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I love that you threw that in there, break it up and shake it up.
Thanks. I think a lot of us, I've spoken to a lot of people, and I think a lot of us at Easter time, on Easter Sunday, I noticed that was a very solemn and grim day for me, because usually, you know, you get up and you go to church, and then you come and you go out to brunch with family and friends, or you have a nice meal at your home, and the smells, and, you know, Easter lilies and Easter egg hunts for the kiddos and all that. And, you know, I was like you, I just felt like I hit the wall that day, and I was like so sad because I felt so boxed in, you know. So yeah, that was a tough day for a lot of us. So yeah, I totally get that. And that's the kind of a part B that I would say is, you know what, honor that too. Like, every once in a while, if you're having a bad day and you're feeling sad and you're feeling like, you know, this is not great or whatever, I think it's okay to do that. I just don't think it's okay to continue that, you know. Let's not have that pity party going on for 2 or 3 or 4 days. Let's, you know, snap back out of it and
slap yourself and snap back out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, this is my, like, kind of like the biggie, okay, for my tips and my lessons learned. Money goes where energy flows. And that is absolutely true. That you may go back to that last slide and say, you know, what kind of a business owner do you want to be? Or what do you think that people who are doing business with you want you to show up doing? Well, I think that those of us that are successful, we understand that there's a certain amount of energy that goes into making money. And I used a couple of examples here. I love the power of water. I am absolutely mesmerized by the power of water. And whether you've been to Yellowstone, I always get those two confused. Yellowstone National Park, where Old Faithful, the geyser that shoots every 2 hours and 18 minutes, I believe it is, or whether you've been to Niagara Falls, or, there are lots of bodies of water across the United States and across the world for that matter. But I just love the energy of water. And so to me, water represents the kind of energy that you want around money. Water in force represents power, and and it's very water is very influential. I mean, it can cut through rock over a period of time, right? So thinking about, I want to feel the energy flowing in me, the power flowing within me to make money. So think about that. Money goes where energy flows. So you've got to keep that energy high and keep it, flowing in the right direction. It's very exciting to me. And that's one of the things I miss the most, although we have the Ohio River, but it's not like it's not like a waterfall that we see. It's a river that's flowing, although it can be quite powerful. I will admit that. So money, that's my biggie of all my tips today, is money flows. Money goes where energy flows.
I think that's very, very true. Money is energy, and you've got to just take that positive energy and put your focus and attention in the right places, and the money will flow.
Right. So you have to have faith in that.
Yes.
You have to absolutely have internal faith about that, because if you question that, then the money will not flow, and your energy will not flow either. So it does go in tandem. It goes hand in hand. So, all right. So a couple of three more. This one's from my mom. Clean your glasses every day. I've worn glasses since I was in the 3rd grade, and she used to have a devil of a time with me because I would never want to clean my glasses. And she would always say to me when I was getting up in the morning, don't forget to clean your glasses so you can see the blackboard today in school. And I'd be like, who wants to wash their glasses? I didn't want to wear glasses in the first place, so it was always like a real challenge, I think, to even get me out the door with glasses on. So, but cleaning aside, when you wear glasses and you clean a lens, you see things that maybe you haven't seen before. If there's like a smudge print on your glasses from your fingers or whatever, you kind of don't see things as clearly. So clean your glasses daily and make sure that you have a clean view, see everything through a clean view or a clean lens. Have fresh flowers in your workspace. Flowers are living beings. They're living things, and they give off by their color, and so if they smell, they have a scent. By their scent, they give off positive endorphins for us. So when we see, like, what happens, Carol, when you smell roses, like a bouquet of roses? How does that make you feel?
Oh, I love it. Yes, I love fresh flowers in my home. And I do buy them regularly, and maybe even if it's just a small little bouquet or cut from outside, fresh flowers just brings, the outdoors in, and I always feel great.
Yeah.
Pretty flowers.
Right, yeah. And it doesn't matter where they come from. If you go out into your yard, you're lucky enough to have flowers in your yard, you can go cut some fresh blooms, or whether you go to the store and buy them, or farmers markets are famous for having beautiful, beautiful flowers. And, that's part of my whole sourcing thing. Like, I want to be able to source the very best that I can get of things. And I want to make sure to honor farmers that are growing flowers and bringing them into those farmers markets by being able to get nice, fresh bouquets of flowers. But they do help us with the energy level that we are perceiving in our homes. And then the third thing is laugh often. I don't care what you laugh at. You can laugh at your pet snoring beside you. You can laugh at kids riding their bikes, outside your front door. You can laugh at nothing. You can laugh at everything. But I do think that, is it Reader's Digest that says laughter is the best medicine? I think that's, yeah, that is such a powerful statement. And, again, that kind of goes to that whole energy piece of it, because if you can see laughter in the mundane, if you can see laughter in the everyday course of life, chances are you're going to have a better day of it than if you say, well, what's there to laugh about, or what's there to smile about, or, I don't believe in that. Well, try it out. There's a comedian, and her name, I'll never forget her name. Her name is Loretta LaRoche. What an interesting, all that L sounds, right? And she says that she encourages people to laugh. And she said, like those great big hearty belly laughs that people do, not just like a little giggle, but like these great big hearty belly laughs. And so there's a very old tape of her, and she's talking with a group of people, and she said, now I'm going to help everybody do a belly laugh. And she said, so I want you to take your right hand, and I want you to put it on the stomach of the person sitting next to you. And everybody starts to like kind of giggle and, kind of like fuss, because you don't know who's sitting next to you. And these, and we would never do that today, right? With social distancing. Or we would never touch somebody which may be inappropriate nowadays when it was, but this is like long time. And she said, just put your hand on their belly. And people start to do it, and she doesn't say anything else, and people start to laugh, and then they laugh some more, and then the whole audience is laughing, and then people are laughing so hard that they're crying. And she said, see, don't you just feel better? And I thought, yeah, you really do feel better. It may sound kind of silly and kind of trite, but I do think that laughter helps us feel emotionally better. And what's better, laughing or crying? Well, I'd rather laugh.
I'd rather laugh too. Yes.
Yeah. So
it's just good for your soul. It makes you feel good, and it can be contagious, or you know what I mean? Once you get laughing, and it's like, oh my gosh, and it raises everybody's mood and spirits, and it's feel good. Yes, you really do. Yeah.
I think of the old-timey, this doesn't happen, maybe in late night it does, I guess, it's kind of evolved there, but I think of the old-timey like Milton Berle and Sid Caesar, way back in the 50s when they had these Carol Burnett is another great.
Oh, I loved Carol Burnett.
Oh my gosh, when she and Harvey Korman and Tim, I'm forgetting his last name, when they would do skits and they would crack themselves up, right? And the whole, we just used to live for those shows. Yes. I remember watching those shows with my mom and dad growing up, and we always laughed, and I think we went to bed feeling better for watching some of the silliness and the laughter. So yeah, laughter is the best medicine.
It is.
And so then finally, this is my last tip, is to be the best version of you. I'm sure you've heard people say, show up and be ready to go. There's some phraseology there that I'm kind of blanking on right now. But what it all boils down to, Carol, is this, that we want to show up and be the very best version of who we are. We don't want to be seen as somebody who's wishy-washy, who's up one day and down the next. We don't want to seem to be someone who is only excited when money is flowing in. We don't want to seem to be, kind of stuck in old habits or old ways. So show up and be the best version of you. And I just wrote down here in my notes, I said, be the beacon of light, be the brightest star in the sky, shine through clouds, refresh your image often, be the person that people want to be around. People will say, oh, I just love being around Carol Dockum. She's so fun. And, she always has so much fun things to say. that's who you want to be, right? You want to be the person that people want to be around and talk about you in a positive manner. Always bring your A game, whatever that looks like, bring your A game and just be the best version of you. And that's going to help you keep your sunny side up, because when you're the best version of you, you know, all those other things kind of fall into place. So I hope that helps. It wasn't meant to be, super serious today, but I hope the message was there that, you know, it's all up to us individually to keep our sunny sides up.
Yes. No, I love, love, love your presentation and your information. And Ruth, you are a beacon of light and you are an inspiration. So much that you've given me so much to think about. I'm thinking about and reflecting upon when you first started your presentation, and you were talking about, you know, we're all entrepreneurs, small business owners here, and this is a journey. This is the entrepreneurial journey. You know, you're going to have good times, bad times. It's almost like a roller coaster, right? Mm-hmm. And life is like a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. And we've got to develop those skills and mindset and attitude to keep our sunny side up. And so you've just laid it all out there. And I can't thank you enough for sharing your gifts and bringing light and inspiration into the world. I so appreciate you.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Well, you know, like I said, it's a 50-50 toss. You can wake up and get out of the bed and be grumpy and disoriented all day long and stay in your jammies and, you know, say, why is it windy today? And why is my garbage can, why is it always windy on Wednesdays and my garbage can is flying down the street? Or you can say, you know what, it's Wednesday, got to get the garbage out there. I just kind of got to watch and make sure that it doesn't fly away before the garbage guys come. So you get the choice, right? We all have that choice.
Right.
So, and I choose sunny side up. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go for sunny side up.
9 times out of 10, I'm going to go for sunny side up too.
Good.
Well, thank you so much, Ruth. Cheers to the sun shining. Cheers to you. And thanks a million for everything, Ruth.
You're welcome. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Bye-bye.